Today we are going to be ranking every single season of Fortnite based solely on gameplay. That means no vibes, that means no battle passes, that means nothing to do with the storyline. We are ranking these solely based on gameplay. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. If you were new here, my name is Kyle. I'm your guy with many YouTube channels. Guys, before we get into it, I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments below, because I'm not sure what to do with these tier list videos, whether you want like the cool background over here or I can just like get a full screen up here. I'm always looking to make the channel better, so please let me know what you would prefer. For this video, I am going to go with the style that we've been doing a little bit lately. But regardless, like I said, gameplay based only. I have no idea how this is going to end up, and actually I'm going to add an SS tier and an NA. That's a little bit better because, as you guys know, I do have my SS tier seasons and I do have a couple seasons that I didn't play, and I removed D tier because I don't believe that Fortnite has ever made a bad season. Regardless, let's talk about Chapter 1 Season 3. Yeah, okay. The problem with this one is the vibes had something to do with the gameplay because the players weren't all that great, and for that reason, the gameplay was honestly pretty good. Like we were talking about when Epic re-released OG Fortnite, I'm talking the one that's in the game right now. You had the no skill-based matchmaking, you had the no bots in the game, and for that reason, it was really tense, really fun. There were players all over the place, but for the gameplay in general, while it was bare bones, the map was great, and I think this is where Epic really started to get their stride. So for Chapter 1 Season 3, ooh, that's a toughie. I might be moving these around later, but I am going to put this over into the A tier for now because I do believe that there are seasons that are going to end up going to the S and the SS. Chapter 2 Season 2. All right, looking at this strictly from a gameplay perspective, the problem was this is absolutely an S tier season. But if you take out the storyline, if you take out Midas, if you take out the agents, if you take out everything to do with that, just gameplay. And I forgot to mention too, like the map updates isn't something I'm going to take into consideration, but I do believe the map has something to do with the gameplay. So I think it's important to separate those two things. But I loved the mythics. I loved the diversity of POIs. The agency itself made for some of the most fun gameplay that I've ever experienced ever. You had the water storm at some point too. This season was really good in terms of gameplay. The loot pool was fun. I loved the decoy grenades. I loved the, the phone boost where you can change into henchmen. You can become henchmen. You can even meme around in that sense. The choppas were really fun. I might put this one in SS, guys. I might. Oh, this is tough. This is tough. I'm going to put it into S tier because there is something in mind that is going to be SS tier. And again, I might shuffle these around as we talk about more seasons, but I'm going to put Chapter 2 Season 2 over into the S tier. Chapter 1 Season 2 is not a season that I've played. I began playing this game in Chapter 1 Season 3, so this one is going to go into NA for me. Chapter 2 Season 3, though, I always say one of the most underrated and fun seasons of all time, guys. I'm struggling here, man, not to put everything over in SS, but I do believe that this rivals Season 2. The water made for some of the most unique and fun gameplay that I've ever experienced with Fortnite. It was fun with the sharks. It was fun with everything being flooded, but part of what was fun was seeing the map change as time's gone on. But we also had the addition of cars that was really fun. The charged shotgun I personally really liked. I enjoyed the loot pool in general. The water was fun. And playing on top of all the POIs covered in water, it just changed everything. But there's also a lot of things like, this is toughy, man. This is a toughie. I'm going to also place this one over into the S tier. I'm going to put it behind Chapter 2 Season 2, but these two are very close with each other. Chapter 2 Season 4, arguably one of the greatest seasons in Fortnite history. And we just talked about like what the vast majority of people seem to think is prime Fortnite. Ooh, is this our SS tier, man? The mythics were on point. The map was on point. The POIs were on point. I've had so much fun fighting in Doom's Castle, Stark Industries. The POIs were absolute bangers. The mythics were incredibly rewarding, overpowered, which I love to see too. I don't want to include LTMs. I'm just talking about, I was thinking about like Marvel Knockout and all that stuff, but we're not going to include LTMs, like strictly gameplay-wise. I always say this is one of the greatest gameplay seasons we have ever played, guys. I'm actually going to throw Chapter 2 Season 4 into the SS tier. I don't know if I'm going to end up moving that down because, again, I do have something in mind that does stand out in SS, but man, like, this was solid. This was solid. The mythics, the loot pool, everything was really fun about it. Chapter 2 Season 5. I have always said that gameplay actually is one of the strengths for this season. A lot of people have really mixed feelings about Chapter 2 Season 5 in general, but what stood out for me, like, yeah, the storyline was lackluster. I didn't love the collabs like a lot of people used to talk about. What I always talked about when it comes to this season is the gameplay was great. I loved the sand tunneling. Again, the loot pool was phenomenal. I thought everything was really, really nicely balanced. Actually, the lever action shotgun like fit well into it too. You had the Dragon's Breath shotgun. You had the introduction of exotics. The loot pool for this season was really, really nice. I loved the 0 point in the middle of the map. I loved all of the 0 point shards, excuse me, that were all over the place. You could get those. You could use a dash. You could use a sand tunnel, even though it was disabled for quite some time. The map was really solid. Colossal Coliseum, Stealthy Stronghold. Guys, ooh, did I like this gameplay more than Season 2 and Season 3? No, definitely not Season 2. Definitely not Season 2, but the fact that I'm even considering this, maybe I'm wondering if it should be a reason to boot Chapter 2 Season 3 down a little bit, but I don't think so. Is it better? Here's my question. Okay, it's better than Chapter 1 Season 3. Is it better than Chapter 2 Season 3? While in terms of gameplay, I don't think so, but it's close. This is a toughie. I'm going to put this one at the top of A tier, but I might end up moving that. The gameplay was really solid for 0 point. Now, Chapter 3 Season 3, one of my least favorite seasons in Fortnite history, vibin'. There wasn't a lot going on this season. The gameplay changes wasn't enough to really make me just get excited. Yeah, you had the addition of wildlife, and that was fun, but there was nothing that stood out. Darth Vader was even lackluster. The loot pool was lackluster. The map changes were lackluster. This is going to be our first C tier. Now, Fortnite Primal, if you guys don't know, I am a fan of Fortnite Primal. One of the reasons I'm a fan of Fortnite Primal is because of the great live event, the storyline, battle pass. I liked a lot of things that Primal brought. So in terms of gameplay, I personally really enjoyed the bows. I loved the bows. I wish we could add a sniper, and I would have made a lot of changes. What doesn't help is the necessity of crafting, the makeshift weapons. Those were objectively bad. They were just one of the worst. Here, I'll say it like this. You had some of the most fun and unique items, that being the bows, and you also had some of the worst items of all time, that being the makeshift weapons, and the fact that it took so long to oftentimes get those unique bows was, like, it wasn't that fun, you know, but I did like Fortnite Primal. I'm going to put this one, to the B tier, okay? There's good and bad with this. When we're ranking just the season in general, I might be boosting that up a little bit, but regardless, Fortnite OG, I thought they did a great job bringing back the OG days of Fortnite. I thought they returned everything that was pretty necessary. Like, in terms of just gameplay, Fortnite OG knocked it out of the park. The loot pool was really fun. They could have done better with the vehicles, but it was still like, it was good enough, okay? It was good enough. The map was great. The new mechanics of Fortnite played very, very well. Onto the new map right now. I think Fortnite OG did an excellent job with all of that, and for that reason, I'm actually, I'm going to put it into the A tier, guys. I don't think it stacks up to these 3 seasons over here. I'm going to put Fortnite OG at the top of A tier. Fortnite Wilds. I loved Fortnite Wilds. Guys, and it's important to note, I should have said this at the beginning of the video, but this is entirely my opinion. This is just all my opinion. I know everybody's going to disagree, and I know I'm going to hear a lot about that in the comments down below. I loved Fortnite Wilds. Something that I loved about Fortnite Wilds and what stood out is actually the gameplay. I enjoyed traversing the jungle. I always talk about, I love the fact that you had to change the way you play, whether you have to look for people in the trees, whether you utilize the mud. You had augments, although those were very, very lackluster, but I thought the loot pool was fun. I loved the Optimus Prime cannon. I loved the Mammoth pistol. I loved the explosive repeater rifle. I loved just the strong part about Wilds to me was the gameplay. I know there was a lot lackluster, like the storyline, the augments. I mean, I know augments are part of gameplay, but there were things that I would definitely change about Wilds, but I thought the gameplay for it was actually very solid. I'm going to put Fortnite Wilds. I'm going to put Fortnite Wilds. Do I like it more than Primal? Both of them had some issues, man. But I really enjoyed my time playing Primal. I'm going to put Fortnite Wilds into the B tier as well. I'm going to put it right behind Primal, okay? Fortnite Myths and Mortals. As you guys know, Chapter 5 is not nearly my favorite chapter of Fortnite. This was a series of missed potential. What carried the season for me was pretty well like diving a little bit back into the storyline, speculating Midas. I liked the Avatar update. That was pretty fun, but at the same time, like, I wanted to play Flora's Lava, and that was pretty well it. Myths and Mortals just did not hit for me, and part of that reason is because, unfortunately, I struggled to enjoy the game nearly as much as every other chapter. Oh, do I make... I'm just thinking, should I make a D tier? Should I make a D tier? Because just gameplay, No, Fortnite's never had a bad season because I still found myself enjoying the game. You know what, guys? That's going to actually make me change things up a little bit. Because Vibin was better than Chapter 5. But it's still C tier, man. Like, I can't put Vibin above C tier. I can't just... Yeah, no, I'm going to leave it as is. I might move it as we go on. But the fact that Chapter 5 had weapons that I hated, attachments that I hated, and bullet drop that I hated, no matter what else brought to the game, like the Icarus Wings and the Zeus Thunderbolts did not make me enjoy the game anymore. For that reason, it's going to be into the C tier. Chapter 2, Season 7. My all-time favorite season of Fortnite. It was my favorite season for a variety of reasons. Okay? So, I think that I might actually end up placing something above this, but I could be wrong in that. Regardless, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm throwing this one straight into SS tier. It was the perfect season in my opinion. I loved the goofy, wacky alien items that you can get. Gameplay-wise, you had the Mothership minigame. We've been through it a million times and how much that helped the pace of the game. You had the Railgun, Recon Scanner, Gravitron, some of the greatest Fortnite fun items in the history of the game. Things like the inflatable, the parasites. There was so many new unique things brought to the season that I thought I still do think that it's the perfect Fortnite season. The UFOs were phenomenal. The POIs, while the changes were lackluster, the alien changes were also phenomenal. Fortnite Invasion so far is the greatest season in terms of gameplay. Season X. Chapter 1, Season X. Oh my god, guys. Chapter 1, Season X. I loved the mechs, and I know I'm going to hear about it in the comments. I loved the mechs. I loved the rift zones. Ooh. Come on, man. Guys, I'm sorry. We're booting Nexus War down. Because the way that I'm talking about Season X and Chapter 2, Season 7 makes me like it like... Oh, but I had so much fun in that season too. But I'm talking like S tier is like really booting it down, but it's not. Nexus War was near... You know what? In terms of gameplay, I'm leaving Nexus War in XS, okay? When it comes to just ranking the seasons, Nexus War is not up there, but Nexus War, in terms of gameplay, is right there with them, okay? Anyways, the Rift Zones were some of the greatest additions in Fortnite history. I can't believe that they never brought them back, and I will never forgive the community for complaining over and over again about getting weekly updates. I understand that, like, but the weekly, I was about to say, like, well, we had weekly updates, weekly storyline stuff. That's not what we're talking about, but what we did have was weekly map changes. Those map changes came with gimmicks. We had collaboration items. We had some of the most fun loot pool pieces ever, the Gold Tack SMG. The mechs brought a brand new, like I was just talking about Godzilla. It brought a fear to the game that I absolutely loved. Tilted Town was some of the most fun that I've ever had playing this game in general. And while Chapter 2 Season 7 is my favorite season of all time, there's a variety of reasons for that. Season X, I believe gameplay-wise, tops Fortnite Invasion. Both of these seasons, I played Fortnite every single day. Every single day. Nexus War I played a ton of too, dude. A ton of. Let's continue on to Chapter 2 Season 8. This was also a very strong season gameplay-wise. I liked the sideways weapons a lot. The sideways bubbles were pretty fun. Every time I talk about seasons, it's difficult to not like cover, like, I liked the spooky vibe to it. I liked the live event, you know, but we're not going to talk about any of that. In terms of just gameplay, I thought that it just flowed very nicely. It was a very nice, solid, balanced loot pool. I was personally a fan of the sideways weapons. I know that could probably be up for debate, but I enjoyed myself through the entirety of Fortnite Cubed. Does it stack up to the seasons over in the S tier? It does not. I'm going to put this at the top of A tier. I did have more fun in Chapter 2 Season 8 than I did in Fortnite OG. Let's continue on to a season that I didn't play, that being Chapter 1 Season 1. But let's continue on to Absolute Doom. Yeah, this one didn't do it for me, guys. The mythics were completely underwhelming. It had the same Chapter 5 issues. I don't want to continue repeating myself, but it had the same Chapter 5 issues that Chapter 5 has had the entire time. I struggled to enjoy myself. There wasn't anything besides maybe the Black Panther claws that stood out to me. The POIs were really fun, but because the gameplay was, in my opinion, so lackluster, I couldn't bring myself to enjoy it nearly as much as every other season. For that reason, this is going to go at the bottom of C tier. Chapter 2 Season 1. This one's a toughie. I liked the Winterfest updates. I had a lot of fun just because, like, I was having a lot of fun with my friends personally, and I enjoyed the season. I enjoyed the new map, but in terms of gameplay, This was so unbelievably bare bones. And it's going to sound weird. My friends and I are just really funny. So like no matter what we were playing, we always had like a really, really good time in Chapter 2 Season 1. And it didn't really pick up until Winterfest. That's a big issue, right? Because Winterfest was so short, but then it went back to the delays and waiting for a new season. While I personally enjoyed the entirety of the season, in terms of gameplay, this is one of the weakest seasons. It was just heavy ARs, snipers, and everybody asked for it. And I will say this until the end of time, everybody in the community asked for it, and Epic Games ended up delivering. This was one of the most bare bones loot pools that we've ever had. I always think about that Ninja clip where it's like we had, in how many months we had one new gun, that being a harpoon gun. But I loved the harpoon gun, don't get me wrong, but this season does not stack up to any of the other seasons, but I did still enjoy it more than I enjoyed Chapter 5. In terms of gameplay, Chapter 2 Season 1 is going over into the C tier. Chapter 3 Season 2, Resistance. I was a big fan of the tanks. I was a big fan of the IO blimps. I was a big fan of the armored battle bus. I loved the chaos and the vehicles that was brought in this season. Dude, this is an interesting question, because am I going to like it more than Fortnite Wrecked? I really enjoyed this season. On top of that, the loot pool is really great, but just talking about gameplay, like there was a lot of really great things that this season brought, but I also enjoyed the storyline. I also enjoyed the battle pass. I enjoyed a lot of other things that were coming from this season. This season was very good. I enjoyed the vaults. I enjoyed the new POIs. This is a toughie, man. This is a toughie. In terms of just gameplay, where's Chapter 3 Season 2 going to go? I'm going to put it into the A tier. I'm going to put this one. I'm going to put Chapter 3 Season 2 right ahead of Fortnite Cubed. I think I liked it more than Fortnite Cubed in terms of gameplay. Chapter 1 Season 7. One of the strengths for it, we always talk about, is Winterfest. I loved the creative mode that was released. I loved the vibes of winter, but that's not something that we're going to be talking about. I enjoyed the loot pool. The map was really, really nice. Polar Peak being added. Polar Peak in its prime too was some of the most fun that I've ever had. You had the Winterfest in it with the cube monsters. I really, really enjoyed that. Planes were in their overpowered, wonderful state, and that is when the planes were the most fun to use, in my opinion. So there was a lot really, really going for this season, and people talk about this like this is one of the greatest seasons in Fortnite history. I have to agree with that. The gameplay was really nice. I loved that you had balloons. I loved the Infinity Blade. I loved that you had some really strong, nice balanced weapons in general, but you also had those ridiculous things like the Infinity Blade that were added, right? I enjoyed Chapter 1 Season 7 through pretty well its entirety, and I am going to put this season into the S tier. Where am I going to throw this one into the S tier? I actually enjoyed Chapter 1 Season 7 more than I did Chapter 2 Season 3. I'm messing up my words over here. I'm going to put it right in the middle over there. Chapter 1 Season 4. This is just Chapter 1 Season 3, but better. It added Dusty Divot. It added to the Hop Rocks. It added to the loot pool a little bit. And still, everybody kind of did end up sucking at the game. That made for a really good time. And I still enjoyed that there was no skill-based matchmaking. I enjoyed that there was no bots. I just enjoyed. This was prime OG Fortnite, and I cannot wait for, like, at the time of recording this video, depending on when you're watching this, we are in when Epic Games re-released OG. We're in Chapter 1 Season 1. I personally can't wait for Season 3, and especially Season 4 and 5. This season was phenomenal. I thought it was way better than Chapter 1 Season 3. I'm going to be putting this one over. Actually, guys, I'm going to put this one. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it ahead of Fortnite OG. The vibes, like, I know we're not talking about like things other than gameplay, but because the vibes were so nice in this one and everybody was kind of sucking at the game, and you still had those John Wicks that were really, really nice, and you had the crazy skill-based matchmaking, that made for a better gameplay experience, more so than Fortnite OG, more so than Fortnite 0 Point. So that's where I am going to end up placing this one. Let's talk about Chapter 3 Season 4. It's a season that you either love it or you either hate it. And I'm somebody that loved it. Something that I always talk about. And while Fractured was lackluster, while the storyline was interesting, again, but still a little bit lackluster, I loved the chrome mechanic. The chrome mechanic and the chrome splashes are something that I've always said should be staples in this game. I love the chrome. I love the fact that you can change it up. I love the fact that you could go into a chrome blob, dash around. I like that you can make walls chrome and then go through them. It brought a brand new, unique element to Fortnite that's never been seen again, and something that I personally really enjoyed. I liked the chrome weapons. The map was fun. Chapter 3 had a great map in general, and I liked even the Herald Sanctum. Like, I liked the tornado on the map. I just loved what the chrome brought. I thought this was a very strong season, in terms of strictly gameplay. I'm going to also put this one into the A tier, guys, but where am I going to put this one into the A tier? There are so many really, really great seasons, man. And it's tough because I'm arguing like where things are going in the SS, S, and A tier. This definitely isn't an SS, or excuse me, this definitely isn't an S tier. It's an A tier. And in saying this, I'm thinking about moving Fortnite Resistance actually up a little bit. But that could be, I don't know. We'll talk about it more as we continue on with this video. Fortnite Paradise is going to go. Here's the question. Did I like it more than Fortnite Cubed and Fortnite Chapter 1 Season 4 in terms of strictly gameplay? I did not. So I'm going to separate them right here, and this is where I'm going to end up putting Fortnite Paradise. Okay, let's talk about Fortnite Chapter 4 Season 1. This is what I always talk about, guys. Chapter 4 had some of the strongest gameplay in Fortnite history. I loved the weapons. I loved the maps. The augments were incredible. Okay, the augments were beyond phenomenal. I loved the shockwave hammer. The map, I struggle to not say the map was beautiful, but the graphics in Chapter 4 were my favorite graphics. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. The flow of the gameplay, and specifically the Falcon Scout, was one of my favorite items ever added to Fortnite, and I've spoken this on the channel before. The Falcon Scout in general made me have so much fun, whether I wanted to troll, whether I wanted to go capture teammates, whether I just wanted to go scan around. That was one of, and as stupid as it may sound, because I know not everybody liked the Falcon Scout, that carried the season for me. And it carried the season that was already great. The POIs were phenomenal. The loot pool was phenomenal. It was new, unique. The augments were the best they've ever been. Chapter 4 Season 1 is absolutely in SS tier in terms of gameplay. Now, here's the question. Season X is the toughie, okay? Is it better than Season X? I am comfortable to say that it's better than both Nexus War and Fortnite Invasion. Is Chapter 4 Season 1 in terms of gameplay better than Season X? That's a tough one. That's a real tough one. No matter where I end up placing it, man, they could just be neck and neck. You could swap them, and I would not argue with you one little bit, okay? But I'm going to put it right behind Season X. Chapter 4 Season 1 is better than my favorite season, Chapter 2 Season 7, in terms of gameplay. But now let's move on to the one that I've been thinking about, and I have said this many times on the channel, guys. Chapter 4 Season 2 is the best season in Fortnite history in terms of strictly gameplay. And while Season X was there, man, Season X was phenomenal. I think that what matches it and possibly outdoes it just a little bit is the time that we spent with the Attack on Titan and Star Wars Mythics in the game at the same time. That created for some of the most phenomenal gameplay experiences I have ever had in the pleasure of not only Fortnite, but gaming in general. Not only that, the map was a great layout, like in Chapter 4, like Mega City was awesome. While it still could have been better, but in saying like that, it's still fantastic the way that it ended up coming. The new POIs are great. We had the Kinetic Blade. We had arguably the best shotgun in Fortnite history. I personally loved the Havoc and the Mythic Havoc where you had the 200 pump. I loved that. Augments were still really nice too. The flow of the game in this season was perfect. It was perfect. And then, like I said, you added the Force Mythics and the Attack on Titan gear to it. Man, and even then, didn't they involve? Yeah, no, they involved the Miles Morales stuff too. This is the greatest season in terms of gameplay in Fortnite history. This is going to go above Chapter 1 Season X. Chapter 4 Season 2 Mega is the best season in terms of gameplay. Now let's talk about Last Resort. Chapter 4 is very strong in general, gameplay-wise. I liked all of the mythics. I liked that they were rare. I liked the loot pool. I liked the agent feel that we had to it. The augments got a little bit better compared to Wilds, but still wasn't quite there. This season was really nice. It was awesome flowing, but at the same time, I don't think it necessarily stacks up to anything over in the A tier. I'm going to put Fortnite Last Resort at the bottom of A tier. Let's continue on to Chapter 3, Season 1. One of my favorite seasons in Fortnite history. The Spider-Man Mythic in general really carried this. We had the sliding mechanic added. The layout of the map was really nice, so made for some really great gameplay. I loved the Daily Bugle. It's hard to say not the vibes of the seasons that I love, right? The Winterfest had a great update too. The loot pool was nice. I liked the Ranger weapons, the Ranger shotgun, the Ranger AR. I liked the MK assault rifle. I liked the Mythic that was in the game. And the Spider-Man just carried it, man. The Spider-Man, everybody's swinging around. You also had the trees getting knocked down. That was something that was really carrying Chapter 3. You had the weather. You had the weather update too. Yeah, I'm just talking myself all the way over in the SS tier over here. The weather was, the tornado and the lightning storms were also some of the most fun that I've ever had in Fortnite history. You had the destructible environment. You had fire that you could just light things up whenever you wanted. That's a strong suit about Chapter 2, Season 3 too that I forgot to mention too. With that, the loophole, the Spider-Man mythics, everything about this season was near perfect. I am going to put, in terms of gameplay, Chapter 3, Season 1 into the SS tier. But where does this bad boy belong over in the SS tier, man? This is all of these are so hard to rank, man. Especially in the SS tier because they're all perfect. I do believe that. In terms of gameplay, they were all perfect. It's got to be around because it's not better than Mega. It's not better than Season X. Is it better than Chapter 4, Season 1, Invasion, and Nexus War? It's better than Nexus War. So where are we going to put it? Chapter 4, Season 1, or Fortnite Invasion? Ugh. Man. Again, you could flip-flop all of these guys in the S tier, and I would not complain one little bit, but I am actually going to put Chapter 3, Season 1 right ahead of Chapter 4, Season 1. That's where I'm going to throw Chapter 3, Season 1. It was a perfect season. Fortnite Wrecked. This, unfortunately, suffered from all of the nerfs, and in my opinion, it suffered from all of the nerfs, okay? I understand that I am a different Fortnite player than a lot of people over here, but I enjoyed the cars. I enjoyed the chaos. I enjoyed what it was. And after the cars got nerfed, after they were not useless, but they were getting to the point of being useless, that really hindered the season for me. So if we were to talk about this being like the first few weeks of Fortnite Wrecked, then I would place it pretty high. But unfortunately, it just does not stack up. The Magneto was fun. The Pirates of the Caribbean update was fun. Unfortunately, again, that just doesn't really have it stack up to any other season. For that reason, I'm going to be putting Wrecked over into the C tier, right in front of Myths and Mortals. That's where I'm going to put that. Yeah, I'm going to put it right behind Chapter 2, Season 1. Let's continue on to Chapter 1, Season 5. Again, phenomenal season. I have always personally said that I enjoyed this more than Chapter 1, Season 4 and Chapter 1, Season 3. It was a little bit more of the same, except you had the added benefits of golf carts. I personally like the spray meta. I like the P90s. I like the turrets. I like the way that this entire gameplay flowed. The POIs were infinitely better. You had things like Lazy Links. You had things like Paradise Palms. You had things like the racetrack. There was a lot of fun to be had in this season. I thought the loot pool was still strong as well in terms of Chapter 1. Like, I loved it, man. But there's not too much different that I can talk about compared to Chapter 1, Season 3 and Chapter 1, Season 4. But I would confidently sit here and say that this season is stronger than both of those. So I am going to actually put this. Ooh, I'm thinking about putting it right in front of Cubed. Right in front of Resistance. Ooh. Oh, man. You know what? I'm going to put this one right in front of Fortnite Cubed. I loved this season. I thought it was great. Okay, let's talk about Chapter 2 Remix. This, unfortunately, did not hit the mark for me. What carried this season was the flying cars glitch. But I can't just say that because the problem was this could have been one of the greatest seasons of all time. You had a mixture of, it was pretty well a remix version of Chapter 2 Season 2. But the amount of bots, I didn't like the collab weapons. It just kind of, it took me out of it a little bit, man. Like, I personally did not enjoy the way that this ended up being structured. For that reason, I'm going to put this one over into the C tier. I'm going to do it, guys. I'm going to do it. I'm putting it right behind Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 1. It's crazy, but that's where I'm going to put that one. Now let's talk about Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 1. More of the same. Very bare bones. I didn't like the attachments. I didn't like the bullet drop. I know people are feeling nostalgia for this season, but this season is not one that I personally ever really loved, okay? There was some good things about it, don't get me wrong. Like, the train was lackluster, the weapon attachments were lackluster, the weapons in general I hated. This season is also going to go into the C tier. I'm going to put it right in front of Absolute Doom. Let's talk about Chapter 1, Season 8. Banger season, okay? Banger season. The ballers were great. The pirate cannons were great. The new POIs were awesome, although I was upset about what it took over. What ended up taking over being the volcano, Sunny Steps, Lazy Lagoon. Like, I loved the new biome. I loved the loot. Flintlock pistols added one of the greatest weapons in Fortnite history. The loot pool is very strong here. The ballers, I forgot if I mentioned the ballers. I'm sorry about that, guys, if I did. But the ballers were great, and they received updates throughout. You had the buried treasure. You had the boom bow. This was a very strong season in terms of strictly gameplay. I'm going to put this one over into the S tier. But is it better than Fortnite Chapter 1 Season 7 in terms of strictly gameplay? when it's talking about the seasons, it's also very close. But even then, like, this was a very, very strong time to play Fortnite. And a video that I'm going to be making, guys, soon is what is Fortnite's actual prime. I know people have determined it to be Chapter 2 Season 2 to Chapter 2 Season 4, but I personally have a different take on that. Regardless, I want to go through all of the possibilities and just talk about it for a video. And Season 7 to Season 8, or even Season 9, is arguably one of Fortnite's prime. So my point being, it is an S tier season. It's phenomenal. In terms of just gameplay, I liked it more than Chapter 1 Season 7. Now, is it better than Chapter 2 Season 2 in terms of gameplay? No. So I'm going to be putting it right behind Chapter 2 Season 2. Let's continue on to Chapter 1 Season 6. While I didn't really like this season in comparison to a lot of other Chapter 1 seasons, the gameplay was still really strong. I liked the addition of the cubes. I liked the addition of the floating island. I liked the loot pool. I loved the Fortnitemares update. And we had a lengthy Fortnitemares update too, I believe, with all the cube zombies. And they were so busted and so unbalanced that no matter where you went, the zombies were following you. The end games were incredibly chaotic. I thought that made for a very, very fun season. I really enjoyed just the gameplay, but where it suffered is, again, like we're talking about the storyline, we're talking about like even some skins, updates, things like that. I personally, just when talking about gameplay, really, really enjoyed Chapter 1 Season 6, and I am going to throw this one over into the A tier as well. Excuse me. I'm actually thinking about this right now. I kind of almost want to move Last Resort down to B tier. I almost do. Because I'm thinking about Last Resort and everything else. But the gameplay for that was okay too. That's tough. You know what, guys? I actually am going to do that. I'm going to move Last Resort down to the B tier right in front of Primal because I keep putting things in front of it and I keep leaving it at the end of A tier. So I'm going to actually bump it down to the top of B tier. But this one is going to go into the A tier. But where am I going to put it in the A tier? That's tough, man. That's tough. You also had the introductions of things like Rift-to-Goes. Oh, Chapter 1 had some really, really nice fun seasons, man. I'm going to put it... But does this mean I should move? I'm thinking now, you know what I'm going to do, guys? I'm actually going to move Fortnite Resistance up into the S tier because I keep putting everything else behind that. So I think it's better than everything that I'm ranking in this tier. I'm going to put this at the bottom of S tier. That's where I'm going to rework that. Now, this one, is it better than Chapter 1 Season 5 in terms of just gameplay? Very, very close. Very close. I'm going to put it above Chapter 1 Season 5. That's where I'm going to throw that one. I thought it was better than Chapter 1 Season 5 in terms of gameplay. And finally, we have Fortnite Chapter 1 Season 9. This, in a lot of people's opinions, is objectively one of the best. I mean, I guess you can call it subjectively, but I mean, like, in terms of, like, actual hard arguments, you could argue that it is objectively one of the best Chapter 1 seasons. The problem was, a lot of people didn't like the combat shotgun, but the updates ended up fixing it as time's gone on. The new POIs were awesome. The floating platforms were awesome. There was a lot to really, really love about this season. I personally didn't have as much fun as everybody else. I liked the new POIs, but the slipstreams ended up ruining it for me because at this time in my life, I was personally not very good at Fortnite. So no matter what, when you had the slipstreams all around the map, no matter what fight that you ended up getting into, you were getting third party and you were getting murdered and I had no hope. So it was difficult for me to win, but not to the point where it was fun, to the point where in order to win, I had to avoid fights at all costs because no matter what, you were going to get third partied. I personally did not find a ton of fun in that. I liked the challenge, don't get me wrong, but it was near impossible because team after team after team after team was coming. And it's just because I wasn't good back then, okay? I was improving, but you guys get what I'm talking about. Like, I liked the challenge, but this was too much at the time for me. For that reason, Chapter 1 Season 9 is going to go into the bottom of B tier. I'm going to put it right behind Fortnite Wilds, and that is the official tier list, guys, for every single Fortnite season in terms of gameplay. In the SS tier, we have Mega, then Season X, then Chapter 1 Season 3, excuse me. We have Chapter 4 Season 1, Invasion, Chapter 2 Season 7, and then Chapter 2 Season 4, Nexus War, guys. I would love to know what you think about it down below in the comments. And remember, strictly gameplay. That's all we're rating it by. But guys, if the tier list content doesn't have to end there, why don't you check out this season where I ranked every single Fortnite season in general. Like, not just talking about gameplay, with everything that had to come from it. I would love to have you guys over there. Thank you very much for being here. Take care.